Hey Potomac Soccer, this is our third video and our 4-lesson installment. Today we're going to explore the Athlete DISC Assessment, which we utilize to understand how behavior influences performance. This can be used for individual athletes, coaches, teams, and entire clubs. I've worked with college teams as well as club teams and individual high school athletes using this DISC assessment. It's a wonderful tool to get deeper below the surface in analyzing your behavior. It is important to understand ourselves. As mentioned in the previous videos, we all have different motivators, thoughts, and feelings surrounding competition and performance. We spend time on deepening this understanding because sports are played by people, they are coached by people, and they are managed by people. So, we need to spend time on the people side of sport, the people side of performance, and understanding ourselves as people as much as possible. We like to focus on behavior instead of personality because we can adapt our behavior. In terms of athletics, we may see players behave differently in practice than in games, adapting their actions to the perceived pressure of the situation. The Athlete DISC, through athlete assessments, is a tool we use at MBS Performance Counseling to explore the behavioral style of our clients and teams. The DISC allows us to use a common language to describe our behavioral patterns and explain how we act and why we act that way. I love the Athlete DISC because there's no right or wrong answer. It is purely about understanding and gaining a deeper understanding of ourselves, as well as those around us. The DISC model focuses around 4 categories of behavior. D for dominant, I for influence, S for steady, and C for conscientious. As mentioned, no style is better or worse than the other. Knowing our specific behavioral style allows us to understand why we act how we do in certain situations. Here's a sample diagram of how the results of the assessment measure each behavioral style. You may notice there are 2 different charts, a natural behavior and an adaptive behavior. Your natural behavior is your default. It is the behavior style we notice most when you're very comfortable or when you're very high stressed. So your natural behavior is present in both situations. We'll get back to the stressor in a minute. Your adapted behavior is how you change depending on the environment you're in, or the people you're around, or the task at hand. Changing behavior takes energy, mental, emotional, and physical. This is why we most often see our natural behavior present in high-stress situations, unless we purposely prepare for them, which is what we do here at MBS. When you're highly stressed, you are using your energy to focus on that perceived threat. You're already tired out dealing with the stress, so you do not have the energy to then adapt your behavior in the moment. So we see your natural style come out. You may see someone who's very dominant, very kind of direct in their confrontation as a natural style, but maybe at work or on the team, they tailor that back because they know it gets in the way of their relationships with teammates or coworkers. But then you put them in a high-stress situation, and all of a sudden they're snapping at people and yelling at people. That's us seeing that natural dominant behavioral style come out because of that high-stress situation, because they don't have the energy to adapt and be more high C or high I. So that's where that comes in, that adapted and natural. All right. From the sample, you see the athlete is a high I, that's influence, and a high D, which is dominant, in their natural style chart. Comparing it to their adaptive style, we see that their I goes down slightly, the D goes up a little bit, and their S drops, while the C increases. So remember, we're talking about the adaptive style for the environment they're in, which in this scenario, and for you, is on the field in your sport. So what does this look like in person? If we really take this and give it breath and make it come alive, what does that chart mean? Well, the individual adapts to a higher C when on the field, meaning they become more analytical. They worry a little bit more about the data and the facts, a little bit more detail-oriented. They trust in the structure of the formation. Right? They're not going to go take risks. They're going to be very much by the book. They're going to be very analytical, and that's how they're going to function. Their D increases, which kind of goes the other way. They're going to be a little bit more assertive. Right? They're going to be, give me the ball. I trust myself. I don't really trust somebody else. I'm going to go for it. That can happen in that scenario as well. They become more direct in their solution to solving problems. So maybe for this person, when that high C goes up, they become a little bit more analytical and they're evaluating the game, but that high D also says like, but I'm going to take charge. I'm going to go do it. I'm not going to wait for somebody else. The I goes down. The I's influence is about that connection with teammates, that people person. They're very people-oriented. So the I going down means in their sports situation, in their sport environment, this athlete worries less about that people connection and more about getting that result, which is very high D-oriented, the result-oriented of the D. And we also see that the S drops. I mean, this athlete gets a little less patient. They're not as like stable. They want to go get it now, get it now, get it now. So they're getting a little bit antsy, not as patient as we mentioned. The slide on your screen now gives you a breakdown of each behavioral type using descriptor words. So if you look at it, for example, the D is very assertive, and we said result focused. They're impatient. They want to get the job done, and they want to get it done now, and they trust themselves to do it. The I is very outgoing, very persuasive, very people-oriented. The S is very patient, prefers stability, not a risk taker. This is that person who might, they see a fight going on between teammates or a disagreement, they're going to try to stabilize that situation. They're going to try to be that glue that keeps things together. So these can be very important people on your team for that stability. And then C is they trust in structure, as we mentioned, the data, the facts. They're very analysis-based. As I mentioned, it is not only important to understand yourself, but in a team sport, it's also necessary to understand the behavioral styles of your teammates. There's no right or wrong style, but we often go about achieving the final result in different ways. One teammate might just want to get the result any way possible, that high D, while another one may want to be more methodical and analyze the data to find the best way to get the result, that high C. Another one might decide, hey, it's all about connection. We got to get the team together. We got to make sure we're all friends, we get along. And we're looking at that high I player. In this example, all the players on that team that we mentioned want the result. They want to win. They're just going about it a different way. Each one puts a little bit more value in certain areas to think about how to get the result. But when we understand DISC and we understand behavior, it allows us to understand that we don't need to fight against each other just because we see it a different way. We can use the strengths of each other to move forward. When we understand each other, there'll be less frustrations and less infighting amongst the teammates because they understand each other and they'll learn to value each other's different approach. You cannot judge someone else's behavior based on your own motives. I love that quote. Bo Hansen is the founder of Athlete Assessments. And there's a saying that we judge ourselves on our intent, but we judge others on their actions. By utilizing the DISC and by understanding the behavioral style of ourselves and our teammates, we're more likely to focus on their intent, which will provide a deeper and stronger team dynamic. Take a look at this graphic to understand which behavioral styles are more compatible than others. Why do you think this is true? Two Ds, high D, are they necessarily going to get along? Or are they going to go against each other? Are they going to be compatible or not? We mentioned the S's. If you look at that graphic, they're not really in that least compatible because they're about stability. They're about that patience. They're about trying to make that connection and keep that connection. When we think about team dynamic and team functioning, we want to progress like the graphic on the screen. Our goal is to move from tolerating our differences and nuances of each teammate to eventually valuing each other, valuing the differences, and understanding and realizing the strengths that each individual brings to the team. Want a more in-depth look at the athlete DISC? Contact us today, and we can get started on your own personal assessment, which comes with the analyzation on a 44-page report breaking down all different things about how to interact with other teammates, how to interact with coaches, what motivates you, what frustrates you, what annoys you. It's so important to take this in-depth look if you're looking to push yourself to the highest levels. So we do this for individuals, as I mentioned in the beginning, teams, groups of coaches. We have programs for all these different groups, and we really make the DISC come alive by applying the information to your performance on the field, using concrete examples for you. Thank you for your time. Please reach out to us. If you have any questions or want to know more about what we do at MBS Performance Counseling, we're more than happy to work with you. And as a Potomac athlete, you do get a discount working with us. So please contact us today and let us know how we can help you in your performance goals.